Hi and welcome along to Transfer Daily. Sorry that we're slightly late with you today, but lots and lots of things going on today. And of course, the biggest news out there today is the curious case of Remy. Will he be joining Chelsea as everybody thought he would be after Fernando Torres decided to leave to go to AC Milan? Or will he be joining Arsenal, with rumours flying around last night that Arsenal have also met Remy's release clause, and now the player is free to talk to both clubs. He's said to have already had advanced talks with Chelsea about joining Chelsea, but Arsenal have come in with a late bid. They've met the release clause as well, and they're also free to talk to him. And so basically it's going to boil down to where Remy decides to go. Will he decide to go to Chelsea, where obviously he'll be playing for a club that's got a massive chance of winning the Premier League? We've seen the team that they've assembled. We see their result yesterday, the 6-3 win. They're looking very good so far this season. They're going to be battling on all fronts. Or will he decide to go to Arsenal, who will also be battling on all fronts? But I suppose, you know, if you look at the table at the moment, most people making Chelsea the favourites to win the Premier League. Will he decide to go to Arsenal, the team that he was due to sign for at the start of the summer? They went cold on him. They decided that they weren't going to sign a striker. And now with the injury to Giroud, it looks like Arsenal are backing for him. We know that he supported Arsenal as a kid. We know that his hero is Thierry Henry. Will he be thinking to himself, let me go and follow in those footsteps? Will he be looking at it and thinking to himself, well, you know what, if I join Arsenal, I've got more of a chance of playing week in, week out with Giroud being injured than I do if I go and join Chelsea, where I will be playing second fiddle to Diego Costa and possibly even behind Drogba. So he's got some big decisions to make this morning. It is very curious by Arsenal that, for starters, can we believe anything now that Arsene Wenger has been telling us? He's been saying now for the past week he doesn't want a striker, he's got enough strikers, he doesn't need that, he doesn't need this, etc. Then all of a sudden now they're in for a striker, which just goes to show that Arsene Wenger does do a lot of brinkmanship in his deals. He doesn't reveal anything. Now he is in for Remy, so it's going to be really interesting to see how this one pans out. But Arsenal in for Remy, and it's going to be where he decides to go. It really makes the summer transfer window really, really intriguing. And I said right at the start of the window that I'd heard a shout that Remy was going to be signing for Arsenal. That was going to be their first signing, and I got completely mugged off in that when Arsenal went cold on him. Of course, Liverpool were in for him. They went cold on him. What a summer Remy's having, I tell you what. He's having one strange summer. But let's see what happens with that one. But Remy, Arsenal, could be an Arsenal player or Chelsea player this time tomorrow. We're going to have to wait and see on that one. It's really down to the player. Another player that's been linked with a move to Arsenal is Alessio Cerchi. We've spoken about him. He's plays for Torino. Again, striker come winger, really. Said to be about £16 million for his release clause, and Arsenal very, very interested. Everton, Spurs also interested as well. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that deal. Socrates, the defender from Borussia Dortmund, Greek defender. It's been said today that Arsenal have upped their bid to try and bring Socrates into Arsenal from Dortmund. Of course, he had a good opening game for Dortmund the other night, scoring their opening goal. Socrates is said to be very heavily in favour of a move to Arsenal, really wants to move to Arsenal, and this is a possible deal that we might see happen between now and tomorrow. Definitely Arsenal need a centre-back defender, plus this guy can cover as a right-back. He can also cover as a defensive midfielder as well, so might be the sort of player that Arsenal can bring in and can fit in a lot of different positions. We're also hearing that William Carvalho, the player that we've been linked with for the whole of the summer, again, defensive midfielder, plays for Sporting Lisbon, would be just what Arsenal needs. We're hearing that he is saying to Sporting Lisbon, I want to move, I want to go to Arsenal. Manchester United, who are supposed to be interested as well, have called their interest on him. We see that they've gone now for Daily Blind. That's going to happen for United. So Carvalho really wants to come to Arsenal. Sporting Lisbon, there's not many other suitors for him at the moment. So will he be an Arsenal player this time tomorrow? I know a lot of gooners out there would love to see this one happen because we need a specialist defensive midfielder. But again, tomorrow we're going to have to wait and see. Talking of Portugal, one out of the blue today, a player called Bruma has been linked with a move to Arsenal, a winger. Do we need another winger? But a winger, very, very talented winger. He used to play for Sporting Lisbon, plays for Galatasaray at the moment, was over, only moved there last year in September, and in the summer, sorry, and went over to Galatasaray with high hopes. They really had high hopes for these kids, but he got an injury and it didn't really work out for him. They sent him out on loan to another Turkish team. Hasn't really worked out for him. And now we're hearing that Arsenal have put in a £10 million, €10 million bid for Bruma to bring him in. Again, where will he play, or is this as another player for the future? He's only 19. Seems a strange one to me. We seem to have so many players who can play in the wings positions. It seems a strange one to me, but again, that is one of the rumours that we're hearing about today. And also Morgan Schneiderlin. Many outlets reporting that Arsenal are going to go in and try and make a last-minute bid for Morgan Schneiderlin, who had a great game yesterday for Southampton. He scored twice, playing in a position a bit more forward than his normal defensive midfielder role. And Arsenal said to be very, very interested in bringing Schneiderlin in. His release clause apparently is about £27 million. I just can't see Arsenal paying that sort of money for Morgan Schneiderlin. But there could be interest there. Of course, Southampton have been adamant that he's not for sale, that they're not going to sell him. Remember, Spurs wanted him. But Southampton are adamant that they are not selling Schneiderlin, that he's not going anywhere. But again, who can tell what's going to happen on the last day of the transfer window, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow it's all done. All the talking from people like me and all these outlets and newspapers, it's all over tomorrow, because by 11 o'clock tomorrow we will know who is playing for who has been transferred where. It will be all over, done and dusted. The Falcao rumour, which was hotting up all yesterday, there was I was really laughing when I saw this one. It goes, there was a story, I can't remember which website it was, but they put this big story. Falcao drops massive hint that he's coming to Arsenal, and that's because he followed Joel Campbell on Twitter. I mean, come on, they're getting desperate now. But it looks like Falcao, if he does move, it will be Real Madrid. Again, as I've been saying all along, I just cannot see Arsenal meeting those ridiculous wages that he's on. Good for some. Monaco could afford to pay that. I can't see Arsenal paying a £20 million 1-year loan deal. Not when you could get Remy for half that price on a permanent deal and then be able to sell him on if it doesn't work out. I just can't see why they were going for Falcao. We know he's a world-class player. He'd be brilliant for Arsenal, but I just cannot see that one getting across the line. But that Falcao deal is still being spoken about. And of course, a couple of players that we know definitely ain't going to be coming to Arsenal that have been linked. That's one of them's Alex Song. He's joined West Ham on loan from Barcelona, so we know that that one's not going to happen. And Daniel Agger, who was spoken about as a centre-back who may come in from Liverpool, he's joined Bromby. So we know that that's definitely not going to happen as well. So it's pointing with a centre-backs, looking like it's all on this Socrates from Borussia Dortmund for Arsenal at the moment, although I'm sure they'll have other options that they're thinking about. The last day of the transfer window is so interesting because, of course, teams can make last-minute bids where they just go in for a player last minute, and sometimes the deals are so tempting for the clubs involved that they just have to say, oh, you know, we're going to have to let him go. And one player, by the way, that's definitely not moving, Arsene Wenger has categorically said, Joel Campbell is not for sale. There's been all these rumours coming out of Portugal that Benfica want him. There is even another rumour out today where Benfica, this newspaper in Portugal, are claiming that Joel Campbell wants to leave to go to Benfica. Well, Arsene Wenger has come out and said he is not going anywhere. Wenger admitted that he's had loads and loads of clubs call him, asking him about and inquiring about Joel Campbell, and he said in his quote that he doesn't even take the calls anymore. He just tells his secretaries and the admin people at the club, just tell him we're not even talking about it no more. Joel Campbell is staying at Arsenal, which is good news. We want to see what Joel Campbell is made of, and I think we're going to get a chance to see that because it looks like he's definitely going to be staying at Arsenal. Let's get into a few of your comments, see what you guys have been saying. Kiminoko 100 says, I think Carvalho is like Gilberto Silva, more Gilberto Silva than a Patrick Vieira, which, you know what, either of those at the moment would be brilliant for Arsenal if he's like those type of players, because that is what we need. We need somebody solid in the heart of defence. Signals 927 said a central defender is all we need. He sounds like Arsene Wenger. 888 says Bruma has loads and loads of pace. Guna 1886 says, what do you guys think of Nastasic? Again, that's one that's gone completely cold. It doesn't look like that one's going to be happening, the Nastasic thing. Amin Adem said Borussia Dortmund have 5 centre-backs, so he can see Socrates being sold. Fred 02769 says Royce, Remy and Carvalho for me. Maybe get Royce in January after the Champions League group stages. I don't think Royce from Dortmund is going to be moving anywhere at the moment. He's just coming back off an injury, and I think it looks like he's definitely going to be staying with Dortmund. And probably what Dortmund will probably be aiming to do is trying to get him to sign a new deal between now and January to make sure that they either lock him down, or if he is going to move, that they can up that whole release clause that he's got, which apparently is only about 20 or 25 million, which they'd be hoping to get way more for a player of his caliber. JS says Carvalho would be perfect. Another Patrick Vieira in the making. MJ Imani says that he thinks that Bruma's is at Aston Villa. No, we're talking about Bruma. This is a different kid who plays over there in Galatasaray. Mikolash says, let's get Schneiderlin. All right, he wants Schneiderlin. AMR says, I reckon we'll sign a centre forward and loan, and it will probably be Falcao. Well, I don't think so. Clayton says we should get Winston Reid, Paul Pogba, Mario Gomez, El Shaarawy, or Ruiz. Out of all of those, I can see. Well, forget Pogba anyway. Forget that. Football Surreal says Lars Bender. Now, we haven't heard anything about Lars Bender, so I think we can safely say that it doesn't look like Lars Bender will be coming to Arsenal. Sniper Shock 67 says he thinks Remy will go to Arsenal. Said also says he thinks Remy will choose Arsenal. Let's get in a couple more. Joe Kim says that we should get Chicharito. They're just coming in, and most of them seem to be on that theme of Loic Remy. And again, that's the big story today. Arsenal in for a striker after Arsene Wenger said he's not going to go in for a striker. He's looked like he's done a massive U-turn here. As all the rumours are saying, it looks like he may be in for a striker, and that could be Loic Remy. What is he going to do if he doesn't get Loic Remy? That's the interesting one. Will he just say to himself, right, you know what, we're just going to go with what we got? Or will he go out there for somebody like Serki or even somebody else out there on the last day of the transfer window? It's very intriguing indeed. Of course, don't forget the transfer window tomorrow. We're going to be down at the ground later on in the day to catch up on all the latest news, to see who's coming. So if you're down there, if you're around the Emirates Stadium, make sure you come and check us out. We're going to be interviewing fans and getting your opinions on any signings that we make, and we'll be doing a complete roundup of all the transfers. We'll even be talking about some of the transfers to some of the other clubs later on in the day, but we're focusing 100% on Arsenal tomorrow in a Transfer Daily special that is going to be coming from the Emirates Stadium. And don't forget the game today, Arsenal versus Leicester. We've almost forgotten so many transfer news out there. Massive game for Arsenal, especially with the results yesterday. If we can get a win today, it pushes us up the table. We haven't played Leicester for God knows how many, about 10 years I think it is. So it should be a massive game, good away trip. Leicester, of course, are going to be well up for it. Arsenal, what sort of Arsenal we're going to get? They're surely going to be a bit tired after that very, very tough game the other night, but they should go into it full of confidence. Got a good draw against Everton last time out, coming from 2-0 down, and Alexis Sanchez has scored, so his confidence will be up. So really looking forward to that game today, 4 o'clock today. Leicester City versus Arsenal should be good. We'll be there after the game doing our interviews before the game, so make sure you come and check us out. Thanks for watching Transfer Daily. It's going to be really, really interesting day tomorrow, so make sure you catch up with the show.